to Taco Shop. What's up, looking at anime? I'm Shane.
I'm Boogiepop.
What is your name?
Apparently it's Boogiepop. I guess I'm Scott.
Yeah.
All right.
This is Otaku Shot. What are we
Season
drinking?
2.
Yeah, this is season 2. What are we drinking tonight, Scott?
Captain Morgan Silver Spiced Rum.
Yeah, we finished the bottle.
Oh, the whole bottle.
It is 1:30 in the morning. Welcome to this podcast. As you know, for those who have been listening to us for a while now, we have been on hiatus now for about 4 months. 5 months. Is it?
September.
October,
So,
November, December, January. So I guess 4. Yeah. That makes sense. Around 4
I'm not
months.
going to do the math, so I'll trust your math.
4 months.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what kind of happened to explain to you guys is that we kind of fucked up and didn't have a. I didn't really feel like getting Adobe. There was a lot of other stuff that just kind of happened in our personal lives that I feel like we just didn't really have the time or the effort at the time.
Yeah, it's like we're busy. We got lives.
I pretty much I have my Tumblr account and I'm really into Photoshop and all that kind of stuff and do editing on Tumblr. But for a while I kind of stopped that just because I just wasn't kind of feeling it anymore. And I've kind of hopped on back to it, and I always wanted to do the podcast, but at the time we just didn't have the time or the effort. So I kept getting lazy with editing, and here we are.
But now we're back, more punctual than ever.
And now, since we're actually paying for this account, we will definitely use it.
Yeah, gotta justify that money somehow.
You are right. But in the past couple months, I mean, we started out watching, fall anime, we watched, trying to get ready for this podcast. We ended up just watching it and not doing a single thing, obviously, for this podcast. Plus, I mean,
We dropped a lot.
Yeah, and, with everything going with, there was a lot of holidays going around, right, November, December, so obviously we weren't doing anything. We all had, once again, personal issues that happened that made us not want to do anything. But now I'm happy to be back. Happy to be with this boy right here.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, but I want to...
talking about anime, that thing I love.
Yeah, that thing you love. Plus, there's a lot of times where I just legit did not have, any, desire to watch something. Mainly just because I feel like last season I watched a lot of stuff just because I watched a lot of stuff. And I didn't really want to watch anything. I don't know. I watched a lot of stuff.
Bit of a snooze fest going on last season.
Yeah, it really was.
I think.
So we're going to start off with that, of kind of what we were doing during the fall season, kind of jump into what we are doing now, and take it from here. And this will be season 2.
Season 2.
We're hopefully going to get a whole new opening and whatnot. Whoever gives us that, thank you so much. We're trying to look at this as kind of a clean slate to back on what we were doing. So let's get right into it. So last season, we watched quite a lot. Some of them are still airing this season. But so we watched Goblin Slayer, which was... I liked it. It was fine.
I enjoyed it. I had a fairly good time. Lots of creative ways to kill goblins.
We'll get more into the details of it after I mention everything.
Okay, good.
But so I'll just kind of name
it. It is a podcast
off.
after all.
Yes. So we watched Goblin Slayer. We watched Bunny Girl. We're still watching Sword Art. We're still watching That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. I watched Tokyo Ghoul. We tried to watch Zombieland and dropped it. And then
can we talk about maybe our thoughts on that and why we dropped? Because
we'll get into that.
Okay.
And then we tried to watch Tsurune and dropped it. And then we watched a little bit of Skullface Bookseller, and I don't really think there was really a lot to watch there. But we'll start out with Goblin Slayer. So, with Goblin Slayer, once again, we're not going to really touch on the stuff that we watched fall, just because, I wasn't too into a lot of the stuff we were watching.
Yeah,
plus
just some brief thoughts.
Plus, a few of them are still this season, so... but with Goblin Slayer, I liked Goblin Slayer a lot. I was expecting it to be a little bit more, fucked up than what it was. And it started out, obviously super, super fucked.
Yeah, that first episode definitely gave off the impression that the whole show was kind of going to be controversial with lots of, rape. Not that I wanted to see that.
But that's kind of how it was.
I mean, if that's what I wanted, I'd just watch a bunch of hentai.
I guess you're right. And, I just think it's so funny because I remember like the first episode, me and you were like, hell yeah, this is great. But I remember at one point in time, I was watching with you during the first episode, and I remember I looked over at you, and both me and you were so horrified at the situation going on that we were like, oh, okay, like, this got dark. All right.
But I mean, for the most part, the series was actually pretty lighthearted.
It was lighthearted.
And like almost comedic in certain points. I mean, it was comedic at certain parts.
I still can't get over the fact that at one point in time, he got so fucked up that he had to have sex with a virgin, and they just blew past that.
Yeah,
they blew past the fact that he banged the main character as well as that one girl with the eye blindfolds.
Yeah. Like, never touched on it.
Yeah, like, never went back to it.
I had to watch that episode again to
see if that actually happened.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude, let me just cure my health by banging a virgin.
Well, if that's how you do that, I've been sick for months. Like, can I...
Shut up. Anyway, so Goblin Slayer was fine. I liked the ending. I liked what it came out to be. It wasn't, like, top anime for me, but it was definitely something that I liked, and... They talked about how in the end of the episode there was a reveal that Goblin Slayer will return, so there definitely will be a second season. So I will watch the second season. But besides that, it wasn't overbearing. Like, I don't know. I wasn't like overly accepting about it's not something that I would exactly recommend to people.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it in my top 10 list.
Yeah, yes. But I mean, it was good for the most part.
I don't regret watching it at the very least.
Yeah.
It wasn't a waste of time.
Moving on to something that I do really like, though. Bunny Girl.
Yes.
I will say that I'm really happy to finally get to this because I've been wanting to talk about it for a while, but obviously we haven't done the podcast. But Bunny Girl was really good in my opinion. And I feel like that's also due to the fact that I had some expectation of it being very similar to Monogatari. And it started off that way. And then it kind of turned into its own thing. Like, I feel like it slowly developed kind of into its own thing, kind of steering away from the Monogatari series. But, like, I mean, not that necessarily say that it was exactly like it, but, like, it definitely had traits that made it seem like it was something similar to that.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Like,
it kind of had, there might be a kind of a different term, because I feel like the one I'm going to use is a little bit of a misnomer, but it kind of had, like, a Monster of the Week feel.
Yes.
Where, like, every few episodes there was a new issue that arose and that they had to conquer.
Yeah.
And it was always semi-related to something that the main character had already been through.
Yeah.
Which is, like, kind of the same basic premise of Monogatari when you're...
Yeah, which is
looking
what I
at
thought.
it on a surface level. Yeah.
In the end, it kind of turned into like psychological stuff, which is what I really liked.
Yeah, for sure.
Like especially the sister. Like the sister stuff didn't really have anything to do with the what do they call it? Like adolescent syndrome.
Yeah. Or like puberty syndrome.
Yeah. Like it had nothing to do with that in the end. It was pretty much like, oh, she had a genuine mental illness at the time that made her forget about everything, and that's
spoilers, by the way.
Oh yeah, I forgot. So anyway, yeah. So most of the things we will talk about. It's got some spoilers. We're gonna try to avoid as much as we can. I want to start off this season by not ruining everything for everybody.
Okay. Well, that's a challenge.
That's a challenge. I mean, yeah. I'm gonna do what we can do, but like,
it is what it is.
Just know that there might be spoilers ahead.
Warning has been issued.
Yeah.
We are drunk after all.
Yeah. So like, what are you expecting from us?
But. Anyway, I was not expecting it to take so much of like almost like a realistic direction in the sense that the questions posed towards the end has more to do with like if you are who your memories are or if you are your physical body and like what makes a person who they are.
It was super cool at one point in time. Once again, this is a spoiler, but there was a part in the end of the series where he finds out that his sister has reverted back to her original state. And after he figures this out, he like talks about how there was this girl that a long time ago who he felt sad, and whenever it happened, she came there to confront him and help him about everything. And then during the situation, even though he has a girlfriend, he found that same girl after all this, and she once again helped him.
Yeah.
And then, like, pretty much disappeared after that. And that was another thing where it was like, was that a supernatural occurrence where this person just appears in his life to help him cope? Like, you didn't know. Or it was like, she came there, like, helped him with what he had, and then left.
So, no spoilers, but here's the end of the
oh,
series
yeah, for sure. I said spoilers, though, this part, because I knew that this would be a spoilers part. But it, like, I don't know, the whole series was just like, that, when it comes to anime, and it comes to stuff that I'm listening, like what I'm watching, we'll talk about this more when it comes to this season, because this season has a couple of animes that I feel like kind of pertain to what I am very much interested in. I feel like Bunny Girl was definitely one of those animes that, like, Monogatari being a big example, and I just really like supernatural, like, I like stuff that's like, I don't really know how to describe it because that's not even true, but like I definitely I definitely enjoy kind of like horroristic, like mythical kind of like secretive kind of stuff going behind it. So
it seems to me like the elements that you really enjoy in anime are things with mystery, supernatural elements, and horror if it's done well and within your taste.
Yeah, because like we kind of talked about this, like I've always touched on this, is that, I mean, I love horror as a genre, and I wish there was more horror anime, but there really is not. And like everything that has been horror anime, I've pretty much watched at this point in time. So like pretty much, I remember I wanted to binge at one point in time, and I remember like it was when I first like got into anime, and I was like, wow, I really like horror. Let's watch everything there is to horror. And then after that, I was like, wow, I have really nothing to watch, even though I've only watched like 10 different series. And then I realized that there's just like not really a genre for it. And then I kind of watched everything came out, but like that's pretty much it. But in my opinion, solid show. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. It wasn't anything that, again, I would put like in my top 10 list. I don't think I enjoyed it quite as much as you, but I enjoyed it, I think, more for the comedic elements of the show. Like, I love the main character and his kind of whole aloof attitude about things, and you know, all the hilarity that ensues from the show.
Yeah.
But I think it was a solid series. I think the conclusion of it was kind of dropped a little bit quick, but it definitely had an emotional impact, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't really necessarily meant that they were trying to like satisfy you in the way it was supposed to be like an ending like you were imagining.
I agree.
I feel like
it's not what they were going for, for sure.
And I think they did a good job with it. Besides that, I mean, the two other ones that we need to mention here that we are still watching are actually airing currently, so we'll get into that next time.
Yeah.
But like, I just want to take a moment to just kind of say, I mean, we tried to watch...
Are we going to talk about stuff that we dropped and why we dropped it?
So, I'm going to kind of get into that. So, we watched Zombieland Saga. I watched a good 7 episodes of it, and I didn't
even get that far.
I just was not invested in it, so I dropped it.
Yeah, my whole thing with Zombieland is, like, when I saw the first episode, when that bitch gets hit by a truck, I was like, yeah, this is the show of the season. Like, I'm in for it. If it's going to be dropping this type of stunt all the time, like, I'm down to see what they have to show me. But my big thing that I couldn't get past is, like, when they're genuinely trying to be idols, I just, like, could not watch the goddamn sequences.
So here's what I'm gonna say is that in the end of all of this Zombieland, like them being zombies, having to start an idol group, you then remember that in the long term thing, it's still an idol anime.
Yeah, it is.
And idol anime is not something I'm typically into, and I just didn't really have an interest for it. I tried my best to, and I just couldn't.
They just wore out their premise real quick.
Oh, yeah,
it's
for
like,
sure.
Oh, they're zombies, but also idols. It's like,
I'm like,
you can't just smash two things together. And
I'm like, cool, this is really anime, because like, you're like taking things that have nothing to do with each other and making it into a series. But Another thing we had was so we had Skullface Bookseller, which was another thing we dropped just because
it didn't really have a.
I mean, it wasn't a
plot,
drop.
so to
It was just
speak.
like I watched a couple episodes because it was fun, and then I kind of just was bored after that.
Yeah.
Um,
There's no. I don't even want to say no substance, but it's like it's not a show in the sense that most anime are.
Yeah, is our
Anime plural? I don't know, but
that's fair.
But yeah, like there's not so much of an overarching plot. It's kind of just like this guy's
a day
daily
in the
life.
of
Yeah,
the thing. Yeah. Did we just say that at the same time?
of course we did.
Yeah, of course. Another thing that we dropped.
We're so good friends. We're finishing each other's
sentences.
There you go.
Another thing that we liked but dropped. I mean, I liked a little bit of it just because it was nicely animated. But Tsurune, I really liked the animation of it, but like
I could not get past that fucking owl.
I mean, oh yeah.
What type of owl was it supposed to be? It was just not drawn to the correct proportions, and
we got a falconer here.
I just like birds.
I know.
They should be drawn correctly. They deserve respect.
It wasn't even like that. It was just like it's just shut the fuck up.
Okay, sorry.
So with Tsurune, the anime about fucking what
Archery?
is it called? No, there's like a Kudo? Yeah, Kudo.
I guess so. It's a bow and arrow. It's archery to me. I don't know.
Kudo. So is it Kudo? I think it's Kudo.
That sounds right.
But Kudo was like the if I'm correct once again, just like the ritualistic archery that they had that was part of a club. It's more of a sport, whatnot. I don't know. I love sports anime and all, but like that was just not the sports anime for me. And
how far did you get in that show?
I got about 7 episodes in once again, and I was like I liked it, and I liked the feel-good characteristics about it, and I like Kyoto animation, but like this was just not the anime for me. I kind of felt like I was watching Free all over again, and you didn't even watch Free.
I did
but
not.
Free was fine. I just once again Kyoto animation. I like to stick with the stuff that's a little bit more my speed in Kyoto. Like the Beyond the Boundary was a good one.
That was Beyond the Boundary.
Hyoko was a good one. I don't think you watched that. Hyoko is still one of my favorite animes ever. Did you watch? You never watched Violet Evergarden. That was also another good Kyoto animation. That's on Netflix. They have really good animation, which is what I was trying to get to when I was watching it. Was like, cool. I was kind of watching this for the studio, and then when I kind of figured out like, oh, I'm not really into this type of sport anime, I kind of dropped it, and that was kind of my whole thing. You dropped it because of birds. I dropped it because of plot.
So both 100% good reasons on both ends.
But besides that, that was pretty. I don't know. We tried to pick up a lot of stuff that I thought was like good, and then when we kept going, I was like, I don't feel like this is good. This season, on the other hand, we've found quite a lot that has been just like we picked it up because we genuinely wanted to start watching it. And I think that's played out very well.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this season. And I was just telling Shane earlier tonight, like I'm glad to have shows that I'm excited to watch.
Oh yeah, that you're waiting.
Yeah, like I'm actively awaiting to see what'll happen the next episode, and like thinking about it in between. Yeah,
waiting a week is kind of bad. Like it's kind of hard. But we're gonna go into detail with that. So. I'm gonna just pop into what's going on here as I pull up my phone. So for this season, I mean, like most, obviously you guys, hang on, it's still loading. But there's it didn't load correctly. But there's a good amount this season. Not really. We're only watching
a few.
Yeah. To start with continuations from last season, we are watching The Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, and we're also watching Sword Art.
I want to know your thoughts on The Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, because we were kind of discussing earlier how we both like it, but we can't really
pinpoint
put our finger on like why.
So, I'll say this. The thing that I really like about it is probably the fact that this is in a way, a shonen of...
Yes, I definitely agree.
And I just really like it because it's just like kind of like a feel-good, like everybody's fine all the time in the show. there's never a time where I've felt genuinely threatened about the characters' lives or anything.
Right, like it provides a good element of escapism.
Yeah.
Like kind of, you can insert yourself into that world and tag along with their fun adventures and not think about your shitty life and your bad job and your horrible boss and that horrible roommate. Like you just get to tune in and watch these fun adventures, and at the end of the day your character's super OP, so everything's cool.
You are right about that. In the end, Scott has a shitty life, a shitty career, a
hey,
shitty
wait.
household.
That's not what I was saying. I'm talking about them.
That's it. But so with slime, I will give my honest opinion, not mocking you. So with slime, I love how that sounds. That sounds so gross when I think about it.
Slime time, dude.
So yeah, that's what we.
Wasn't there something on Nickelodeon like
slime
something
time?
about slime?
I mean, there was like a lot of different shows involving slime. I remember that was like Nickelodeon's big thing. Was
they had a bunch of slime.
They had a bunch of green.
They should have gone into the anime industry.
They should have. They could have made a slime that is OP. And that would have been the greatest Disney show ever. But, I mean, Nickelodeon. Can't even say it right.
It's the same thing.
But, so with Slime Time, I love how I call it that. But, with Slime Time, I also just really like, so, Rimaru, the main character, I really like them. I don't really know what I guess they identify as male. But, like, I like him, and so far, everything that he's done has just been kind of feel good. Like, he kind of knows how to handle every situation in the right way.
Despite not knowing that he knows how to do that. And just kind of ends up, like, the leader of a bunch of people.
Yeah, and, like, doesn't really, like, know how to go. Like, there's certain situations where he's like, why am I doing this? Like,
it's
I don't
weird
really
how
know how to
his, like, kind of naivete kind of spawns his success in a weird way.
Like, I remember, he was also, like, spoilers, but in the first, like, few episodes, he's, like, trapped in a cave for, like, a while. Like, just, like, figuring out his abilities. Yeah. And, like, I remember when the show first started when he was, like, man, I still think it's funny that one of the first things he does whenever he's dying is, like, please, just delete my computer results. And, dude, what a bro. That guy, in the end, after he died, took his whole computer and threw it in a bunch of water. Like, upon his request, like, good for you. And I remember there's a part where he's like, man, I really wish what's-his-name had gotten rid of my computer. And there's a part where he's just dropping it in the water and, like, praying for him. And I was like, damn, like...
By the way, if anything ever happens to me...
delete your computer.
No, just throw it away. Don't even... just completely destroy it.
Oh, it's already destroyed anyway.
It's 50% on the way there.
His computer's already pretty fucked up because, like, half the screen's, like, missing.
That's what we record at your house.
But yeah, my big monitor. But anyway, so I really like Slime Time. I really liked I just like the feel good of it. I like every episode. Like, somehow I don't know. Like, it's not something I'm, like, always drastically looking forward to in plot. But every time it comes on in the week, I'm, like, excited to watch a new episode and see what they're up to.
Yeah, it's just something fun to watch.
But, like, it's never anything that I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? Like, oh my god, he was too powerful again. Like, that's kind of the thing of it. Like, he's pretty OP, so, like, that's kind of the whole thing. But any of your thoughts on it?
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Fun to watch, is OP, is good.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm cool with it. I mean, we still have a whole, like, I don't know what episode they're on. I think we have 8 episodes left still.
Mm-hmm. That's
so
right.
I'm excited to see what's gonna happen to it. I really liked the opening originally, and that was the one thing I only had a problem with. I remember the original opening contained characters that we never saw.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird little turn.
We never saw those characters at all, and I was wondering why they were in there. But, like, that was kind of I guess we'll see him eventually. I hope. What if we
why'd
never
they put him in the first opening, though?
I know, and then changed the opening during the second part. So, like, I don't know.
Whatever. Maybe they didn't quite know how things were going to be structured. Who can say?
Yeah, who knows? I'm going to move on to something obvious that I'm sure a lot of people are watching this season, but Mob Psycho 100.
Fuck yes.
So, with Mob Psycho 100, if you did watch the first season, you will know that Mob is an amazing show.
Yeah.
With amazing animation. It's a beautiful anime.
With the purest boy you've ever seen in
exactly.
your whole life.
Everything about the show so far, Mob was one of the things that I was like really looking forward to, just because I knew it was coming out this season. It was like one of the highest thing I could really think of when it was coming out, and I just love everything that they've done with that anime. I love how this anime so far has also kept everything that it's had from the first season.
Yeah, for sure.
Like animation quality and everything, like nothing has changed about it.
And I was really impressed when I first watched the first episode of the new season. One of the first things that came to my mind is like, I hope they managed to get the opening to be different enough from the original, but still very good.
Yeah,
and like they nailed it.
Man,
it feels like a Mob Psycho opening. It's got the strange like animation qualities with like weird visuals and an amazing song to back it. I mean, I couldn't have been happier with the way they did the opening.
Man, like I couldn't be happier with like the show in general. Plus, like Mob is one of those shows that like I don't even know how to describe it. Like just the way the characters are and like how the world is set up. Like I cannot help but feel so much for this character and like everybody around them. And like I remember we were talking about this earlier, but like we just watched episode 3, and there's a part where like once again spoilers, but there's a part where Mob's getting bullied, and I remember like his whole thing is obviously that he doesn't really want to use his powers unless he absolutely has to, and he's been told by Reagan like do not really use these. But there's a part where he's like getting bullied and he doesn't use his powers obviously to defend himself, and like 3 different groups of people like or something like that come to his rescue and like aid him in his situation. And I was just like, man, it was weird to think about this little loner kid in the beginning of the show and now see how far he's become and like all the connections that he's made and everything. And like I'm just super thrilled, and like I'm super excited to see kind of where the story goes, because like the first season has kind of dealt with like him kind of getting the basis of the story set up, and then you meeting the kind of threat to the show. And now with this season so far, you haven't really had that. You've kind of just been more introduced to what Mob is like as a character, and I'm hoping that they'll eventually get more into what's going on with plot-wise of his enemies, whatnot. I'm sure they will, depending on what I've seen from it so far. There's like the Scar industry.
Yeah. Yeah, Mob is a very interesting character to explore because of the way that he is incredibly powerful, but incredibly reluctant to use that power, as opposed to a lot of other characters who are very easily provoked and ready to use any power they have at their disposal, whereas Mob genuinely fears for the people he may use his powers on.
That was like a big thing in this last episode, was him being like, I remember at one point in time he, once again spoilers, but he kind of questions like, hey, like, if I were to ever become evil, if I were to ever use my powers for anything but what I normally use them for, like, how would I be? And, like, that's kind of, like, real to think about, because it's like, hey, you do have these psychic powers that are more powerful than anybody in the world, and you won't use them, but, like, what were to happen if you were to use them? And, like, he could easily kill people.
Yeah. Yeah, more than easily.
Oh, yeah. So it's just like, it was really cool to see that. And like, I really like how Mob doesn't have like a ton of emotions, but when you think about it, Mob has so many emotions. Like, he's such a blank-faced character and a lot of stuff, but like when he actually speaks his mind and like shows what he's about, like, it's just so much depth to his character.
I think that's, on the whole, like, why the show is so good, is because Mob himself is an interesting character to explore, and the people that get involved with him are inherently more interesting because of their involvement with Mob, and how a character like that alters their own personality. Yeah.
But I mean, in the long run of things, Mob Psycho was great. I have been constantly telling people to watch it.
And if you haven't watched it yet, you better watch it, you dirty scum.
All right, don't tell our readers that, our listeners.
Readers?
Yeah, we Reader's Digest, dude. We have our own little podcast book that we give to people. But anyway, moving on to something I kind of forgot about, but that we were watching that is airing from last season, but Sword Art Online. So the thing about Sword Art Online is that it's Sword Art Online, and that's kind of all I expect from it. Yeah. And, like, the thing about Sword Art is that I like this season a little bit more compared to the other seasons because...
It's not as much of a man crush Monday on Kirito.
Yeah, and, like, I kind of really like it because they've introduced a character who's a guy for the first time, really. That's kind of like on his own basic grounds. But pretty much he's blonde Kirito.
Yeah, a little bit. With
a little bit less, I don't know, harshness. I feel like Kirito, and like, I remember this past episode, you didn't really watch this, but there's a part where he's like, I can't talk to kids, will you please do it? And, like, Yu-Gi-Oh steps up and he's like, alright, cool, I'll do this. And, but I was just like, damn, like, I'm really happy that they gave me a character that, like, because, you know, the only male characters that we've had in Sword Art is Klein and, what's his name? Egiel. And Klein and Egiel, like, weren't, like, I mean, they showed up a little bit, but, like, they were
I couldn't tell you anything genuinely about who they are as characters.
That's what I'm saying, is that, like, Yu-Gi-Oh has, like, a lot
They're
of,
like, the other guys.
Actual depth to his character. But, like, another thing is that, like, I'm kind of upset due to the fact that, like, I'm pretty sure... Like, the whole point of this series right now is that he's in, once again, another VR world, as you would imagine. But in this VR world, it doesn't seem like anybody seems to understand that they're in a VR world besides himself. And everybody who is around in this scenario...
Well, because they're all part of the program.
Yeah, like, but once again, you don't know who's part of the program and who's part... Is Yu-Gi-Oh just part of the program, or is he an actual person that's testing the game?
He's a part of the program.
Which is another thing, which is like, yeah, he's part of the program, but it's like, I kind of wish he existed in real life so that they had some other character. Because, like, if you notice...
Okay, I get what you're saying.
If you notice every Sword Art, like, season, they tend to add another character to, like, their roster of people.
Yeah, I get you.
And it's kind of upsetting to think
you think they're going to try to, like, add him, but they can't because he's, like, an artificial... Fluck light?
Yeah, whatever the fuck that is that's going on. I hope that they do something maybe like his, like, what's his name, Yuki, the daughter?
Yeah. No, her name's,
what is her
It doesn't matter. She's a goddamn fairy. No one gives a shit.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, I really didn't care about that aspect of Sword Art. But, I will say, though, that, like, I kind of hope they add Yu-Gi-Oh somewhere in, like, his actual, like, real life time after this Sword Art stuff ends. Just because I feel like Sword Art has always taken substance away, just the fact that it's a fucking harem. And
in disguise.
Yeah, and like
a little bit.
Not really in disguise, even. Just like this season has been the only one that's been.
Maybe I just didn't notice it because when I first watched it, I didn't know about that trope really.
That's like the ultimate trope for Sword Art is being a fucking harem, and like when you think about it, like what girl in his friend group is not in love with him?
None of them?
The only one who wasn't died. So that shows your idea of who is.
Hey, what do we do? This character is in love with Kirito. What do we do?
I don't know. What do we do with someone who's not in love with him? I don't know. Let's kill him. But like that's the whole thing is that like I really liked Yu-Gi-Oh being involved. Plus I kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh's character a lot.
I really like the kind of the room for development that they had with him where he tried to accomplish a goal in the very beginning, but, like, failed because of, I guess, like, programming, but, like, there was something physically within him that prevented him from doing that, and he had to actually fight against that in order to overcome it. Like, that's what a plot is, like, overcoming an actual obstacle, whereas in the other, I mean... It's still kind of like this, where they're naturally too good at everything that they do, but it's like, it's nice to see a little bit of a struggle coming from a Sword Art character.
It's also just weird to think that like that he, if on the circumstance that he doesn't exist in any way, that like this is the first time that we're ever seeing Kirito interact with an AI, and like this AI is obviously so advanced that it's hard to tell that, and like. I don't know. It's just like that's the kind of sadness that I'm drawing from Sword Art is that like out of all the characters that they've introduced in the past, I think Yu-Gi-Oh is actually probably one of the best ones I can think of.
I mean, he's the most of an actual character, I think.
Because like Sinon, I did not like. mainly because
I have no opinion.
Like, once again, all of them were women, and all of them kind of seemed like they were just getting away from Kirito being with Asuna, and I thought that was kind of stupid, because it's like, why are you doing that? Like, this is clearly it. But
I mean, I guess Sinon had the whole the whole arc of, like,
trying to
overcoming her fears or whatever, but like, I guess that's kind of genuine in the same sense.
But, like, the part that's different about all this is that, like, in this season, like, they're kind of in an actual fantasy world. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Believes that he's, like, part of this whole realm, but, like, all the other ones, they were fully aware that they were in a game.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is the first time that you're getting to see, like, him kind of being a part of, like, this entirely different universe. What's up?
Which, I wanted to touch on something that I've been noticing kind of as a trend recently. I don't know if this is actually a recent trend or if I'm just taking notice of it, but a lot of shows that I've seen in the past, like, in taking place in a fantasy world, incorporate, like, RPG elements, like, characters literally leveling up, and, like, even in Goblin Slayer, they had, like, spell slots.
Yeah.
Which is, like an RPG thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, like, I've never quite noticed that as a trope before, like, characters having physical levels and, like, skills.
Yeah, it's like, once again, like I was going to talk about this at one point, but like recently I watched Konosuba. And in Konosuba, there's like the whole elements of like they legit have power up like levels like a normal game would. And it incorporates it into their actual like DNA.
Yeah,
there's a part where it shows their DNA like changing. And I remember it's like incorporated to how they go about things. And like I'll say this right. So moving away from Sora a little bit, Scott's like one of his favorite animes is Konosuba.
Hell yeah!
And Konosuba, I had like a weird thing. I don't even know why I didn't want to watch it, but I remember getting into it. I was like, God damn, this is so good. I just love Konosuba so much.
Fucking hilarious. Just plays off all the tropes that you see in anime and like turns them upside down.
Kazuma is such a savage sometimes that
I know.
It is so hard to think of like him as being like this, like because he's good sometimes.
He's a weirdly good scumbag.
I remember there's a part. It's in the beginning of the series, but there's a part where he's like in the middle of battling somebody, and Aqua says something stupid, and he goes, "Oh, I'll bury her later," and like without a thought says that basically, "Oh, I'm gonna kill her at some point in time," and I just love that about his character. And I don't know, even during the OVA, I remember there's that OVA where he has that thing around his neck, and he's like, "I never once thought of you as sexual. I tried my best to, but couldn't." And I just remember being like, "Damn, Kazuma, that is exactly your character."
He's such a savage.
And like, I just love that. I'm super excited to hear.
I also love how anytime a woman challenges him, he's like, "I believe in equality, so I'll beat the shit out of you."
Exactly. Once again, just a shitty guy. But I'm super excited. If you guys didn't know, there's actually a show coming out called Isekai Quartet, I think.
Huh.
And Isekai Quartet features characters from Konosuba, ReZero, Overlord, and Sage Tenure, or whatever the hell it's called. And I am super excited to see what that's like.
Looking forward to that.
Mainly just because I want to see the interaction between Kazuma and Subaru.
Everyone else.
Also that. Imagine how he'll act like Ram and Rem.
I don't want to imagine that.
And Emilia. Dude, he's gonna fuck Emilia up. I hope he does.
I'd watch that hentai.
I did not like Emilia. That was my only thing about ReZero. I hated the fondness over Emilia. I thought Emilia was kind of a bitch.
I love Emilia.
Why?
I'm just memeing, bro.
I know you are memeing. I took it very seriously at first and then remembered that was the case. I love Amelia after everything is I was so mad in ReZero when that happened.
I remember when I started watching that, I was like, I don't know, I don't really know who I ship him with, and you were like, no, like Rem. It's Rem. And then when I finished it, I was like, I get you. It's Rem.
It was also just so stupid because he had all these feelings for Amelia, but he had spent the most time with Rem.
Yeah, it made no sense. It's like...
And, like, he only really liked her because she was, like, like, his whole thing was, like, oh, she was the first person to find me in this world.
Right.
And it's like, dude, she has nothing but bad intentions. Like, I remember when they were talking about, like, the rule of Summer over, they were pretty much being like, hey, you're evil. Like, you look like the White Witch. And you're with a guy named Rosewald who clearly has his own agenda. Like, your family is evil. Also, they tried to kill him several times in the beginning.
They really
just
did.
because they didn't know who he was. And
they
I'm like...
pretty dang hard.
Yeah, and like, that's
Actually,
fucked.
they succeeded.
Yeah.
A lot.
Oh, they killed him multiple times. But, you know, ReZero. I think it's funny to think about ReZero and Konosuba just because... In Konosuba,
it's the same concept with such drastically different consequences.
Man, dude, Kazuma dies all the time, but in such the funniest ways. Like, so realistic. Like, he fell out of a tree and cracked his neck.
Right.
And I remember that was just like oh my god.
Oh, yeah, he just died.
Yeah, he just died. And I was just like, okay. And that one time in the end where he was like, this is serious, and he jumped into a pit of lava and became a skeleton. And they were like, it's cool. You can resurrect me if you find my skeleton, right? And they were like, yeah, for sure. God damn. But that was a good show. I'm waiting for, hopefully, a season 3 or something. I know that they're making Isekai Quartet, but I remember them saying that they're going to make more for Konosuba. But yeah, not part of the season at all, but...
Alright, moving on.
Love Konosuba.
Hey, how do you feel about Demi-chan?
Oh my god, so that was another thing. So recently I pretty much went through and watched everything that Scott wanted me to watch.
Yes!
And so I watched Konosuba and Demi-chan, which are like the main thing that he wanted to watch. Demi-chan being the interviews of Monster Girls. Demi-chan, I don't know the actual Japanese name for it. But if you guys don't know what it is, it's essentially just about like a school or a society where essentially like supernatural creatures exist in their normal society, and it's just a thing. It's kind of like Hero Academia, how like quirk people exist.
Yeah, it's just like demi-humans are a race of beings that exist in the world. Like, they're kind of rare, so people don't really know how to react to them. Like, they're kind of just like a minority group in society.
Yeah. And, like, their teacher is, like, super obsessed with demis, and, like, I've never really met a demi, and then suddenly meets 5 of them.
Yeah, teaches at a school that has, like, a fuck ton.
Yeah. But it was super heartwarming, I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
Like, just, like, everything about it. Like, I remember watching it for the first time, like, when I was watching it, and, like, seeing just all the interactions, and, like, especially, what's her name? I think Machi?
Machi, yeah.
The Doulahan. Man, dude, I love Machi, and I loved everything about her, and, like, dude, I recently saw, this is something random, but someone took, like, someone who makes the, he opens the soda.
I'm trying to make it as quiet as I can.
Someone on the, someone who created Monster Girls actually made a life-size, thing for Machi.
Really?
And they took her head and, like, took a bunch of photo shoots of, like, her at, like, various scenery, like, smiling and shit like that. And it was, like, the cutest thing I had ever seen. Because they showed, like, her in, like, fireworks and her at, like, a festival and stuff like that, just in her pillow. And,
her little head pillow.
I just love her. She wanted to get her head hugged and shit like that. I don't know. If you guys want to just watch something that's, like, the most wholehearted, like, purest anime ever, like, just watch Demi-chan.
I also, like, one of my favorite parts about that whole show is it just has an interesting view on how to treat people that are different than you, and how to, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
like,
just,
it has to do with, like, almost like a race kind of thing. Like, there was
I took it more as something like people with disabilities almost. Yeah, like, especially with Machi.
Yeah, like Machi, for example, she's the Doulahan. Obviously, her head is not attached to her body. There's a part where, like, they, like, all of her regular classmates are talking to her, and she, like, pretty much wants to make jokes about the fact that she is headless, like, she doesn't, like, her head is detached from her body.
Because that's just, like, a part of her life.
Yeah.
And it's, like, she obviously can find the humor in it.
Yeah, and, like, her entire class just, like, gets really awkward about the situation, doesn't really want to do anything about it, and, But she comes to the sensei, who's like part of the teacher, is like, hey, I just kind of want to joke about the fact that I'm headless and like whatnot. And like he's cool with talking about everything with her, and like she pretty much opens up and is like, yeah, like this is great, and like I just wish people would like open up more about this.
Yeah.
And like it was super cool to see her side of things and like see like all of their different sides of things about like like once again like disabilities and having to fit in even though you're different. And it was just such a positive message. And, like, I teared up sometimes just because of, like, the way things went.
They're just so pure.
Oh, man, they're so pure, and I loved it so much.
Oh, so good. You see why it's my favorite?
Oh, for sure. I
got me through some rough times.
I will say it was a very good anime. I would watch again. Moving on, though, to other things that we've watched this season. I kind of want to talk about the Promised Neverland.
Hell yeah.
So...
let's farm those thoughts.
Oh, God. Do not say it like that. So, Promised Neverland, we're not going to get too much in detail just because if you have not watched the first episode, I really do not want to give away the massive spoiler that is the series itself. But I will say it starts out with kids at an orphanage, and you are going to... so, it starts out with these kids at an orphanage that, like, they're just stuck in this, like, little center of town that they're not allowed to go past these gates, and like they're set a bunch of boundaries, and they live with a bunch of kids. And one day they're hanging out, and they kind of realize that there's this kid that leaves, and they're like, all right, we need to like go give like this rabbit to them. And then they realize that the world that they live in is a bit more messed up than it is.
Yeah, it's way different than they think it is. And like when I hadn't even heard about this show before Shane recommended it, and he told me as I was watching the first episode, he said, you're gonna think you know what's going on. You're not gonna see what's coming. And I was watching it thinking, what the fuck was he talking about? Like, I totally know what this is. Like, I get it. I get what's happening. By the end of the episode, we were looking at each other like, what the fuck?
Man, I remember
the
reaction you had when like there's a certain scene that pretty much gives you away everything about the first episode.
Oh my god.
And I remember when that came apart, I was like, do you get what I mean now? Like, you would not understand the situation.
I did not see it coming.
Yeah, like I did not see it coming either. And just like so far it just seems like kind of like a psychological thing of like them trying to figure out what to do in this situation. And like remember, these are kids.
Yeah.
And
like it's pretty much children trying to escape like an impossible
situation.
I couldn't get out of it.
Yeah, and like it's super cool to see what they've done so far, and like I once again with us not giving spoilers, I don't really have enough to talk about since I can't.
But they all have neck tats.
They all have neck tats, and they're pretty sweet.
I just love the neck tats because I live by the rule of never trust someone with neck tats.
Even though they all have neck tats. Anyway. But just, man, if you're looking for something that's just suspenseful and, like, you don't know what's going to happen, this is definitely the show for that. And, like, what we were talking about earlier of how, like, it was cool, like, it's weird to watch anime where you kind of understand that these characters are completely safe.
Yeah, like we were talking about with Slime Time. Like, sometimes it's refreshing to see a character who, at the end of the episode, you know they're gonna be alright.
Yeah.
But sometimes you want genuine tension.
Yes.
Like, a character might die based on the consequences of what's happening, and The Promised Neverland is definitely that show.
I would definitely say
this season, for me at least.
But, yeah, just, I don't know, I was super blown away by the first episode. Like, the reveal that happened during it, I was just like, God damn, I can't believe I went in even thinking what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, the reveal pretty much had me, like, literally hook, line, and sinker.
Yes, exactly.
I'm watching the whole show to completion. I mean, unless it gets real bad.
I don't think it will, though.
Yeah, I mean,
from what I've seen from the first 3 episodes, it's been very consistent that this is going to be a very good show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that like...
And, like, it's super cool.
The premise itself is enough to keep me watching.
It's kind of cool, though, because me and Scott were talking about this earlier, which I kind of wanted to bring up at some point in this podcast, is that... So, we had a conversation about how... I mean, obviously, anime is the format that we choose, and I've always really liked the fact that there are certain characters that, like... There's not a lot you can do with, like, live action because you can't twist people's faces to make them look a bit more
a little bit more creepy.
Yeah, a little bit more creepy than they are.
A little unsettling.
And they definitely do that a lot in the Promised Neverland. And there's a lot of times where like you'll see like as soon as they revealed everything, it was cool to see faces of characters that I didn't know were evil, and like see their like intention just by their face.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, that's why we prefer anime as a format. Is that's such an interesting way to demonstrate character emotions, is to literally change the way their face is drawn in certain aspects, or like literally changing their face to show you it's a different character, or not a different character, they're feeling different things,
like from what you originally thought. Like it was crazy.
Like you can show a character's intensity by like drawing their, like they do that thing where they draw their eyes like super flat.
Yeah.
Maybe put some
a little bit more
on
shading
like one
around
side.
it.
Yep,
yeah.
there you go. See, you guys know the game.
Yeah. But like, I don't have a lot to say, but I will just say that, man,
goddamn, guys, watch the show. Watch
the show. Moving on to kind of faces and like what was going on, I will say that the next thing I want to introduce is Kakguruixx. Just because in Kakguruixx, we kind of had this whole conversation of like,
that's right, it's a new season.
Yeah, so new season of Kakguruixx season 2. It's on it's gonna be on Netflix eventually. We've been watching it through Crunchyroll. We've only watched one episode so far. I know that there's, I think, at least one or two more out. But I mean, that show started out intense. I mean, if you guys don't know what Kakguruixx is, it's a show about a school that is hardcore into gambling, and like that's how their school is. And, like, it's just a rich school that gambles.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's funny to say it that way, because, like, oh, it's a rich school that gambles.
It's not even really about the school. It's all about gambling.
Yeah. And,
the school is mainly the setting.
The gambling is so intense that it's just, like, it's hard to, like, damn, like, I remember the first time I ever heard about...
Like, hey, bet all your fingernails. Okay.
Like, bet your life. Bet your fingers.
Okay, I'll do it.
Not your fingernails, bet your fingers.
It's crazy.
And, like, it's weird to think about, like, how, like, it's cool to see the main character, Jabami, she starts out, like, she's super innocent, and, she seems that way for, like, so long, that you're just like, damn, like, this is just this innocent, cute girl that just joined this school that
she's about to get fucked.
That doesn't really understand, I'm just like, damn, like, she's so screwed, like, she's gonna get herself into all this shit, and then she comes out being, like, on top, like, ready for anything that goes on with the school. And I'm just like, the more the show continues, I'm just like, damn, like, I mean, obviously you were kind of expecting it, but, like, there's some times where I'm just like, damn, she was so savage that I didn't even know how to react to it. And, like, that's the main thing I love about it, is just, like, the intensity of the gambling was just so real that, like, I definitely need to recommend this to people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely a show worth watching. It's certainly a character that is not all there, and that's what's so great about her.
Yeah,
is that like she's able to be a savage because like she just likes gambling, and she fucking
exactly.
Yeah. You know how it is.
Oh, I know exactly how it is. But I will say so far that definitely is a high up anime. I heard recently from somebody on my Discord that like, I guess, so you know how we watch it on like Kiss Anime, and like it won't actually appear on Crunchyroll like subbed until like after the series is done. But like apparently the person who was subbing the entire series last semester, last time the series was airing, actually died.
Oh.
And there's a group now that took over subbing for it, and they're a little bit slower than she was. Huh. But yeah, that was kind of an interesting thing to hear about.
Yeah, interesting little tidbit.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to think of. It's
kind of wish I wouldn't have known it. One more death floating around in my head.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
I don't care about her. Whatever.
But I'm also like, damn, like that. I mean, that's a little bit more story than I wanted to this anime that I'm watching being subbed.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm also like...
just a little bit...
Yeah, just a little bit.
I hope you guys appreciate it.
I'm going to try to keep up with this show as much as possible, even though with how low it gets subbed. But, I mean, obviously we'll watch the rest of it.
Oh, I'm for sure going to keep up. I mean, the first season was
amazing.
Excellent. I'm very stoked to see the series continue.
But yeah.
'Cause that character is just a savage, and I love her.
Oh man, I'm just so happy about everything with that series. Also, the opening, I loved the first opening. Second opening, not as good, but
not as great. But what can you do?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Not everything's a fucking 10 out of 10.
Let me move on to the last anime that we are watching. I believe that's the last anime we're watching is Boogiepop and Others.
Hell yeah.
So, I will say...
I don't know what the fuck's going on with this show.
So, Scott doesn't know what the fuck's going on with the show. I personally don't know what the fuck's going on with the show. But I will say that, like, throughout the series so far, like, we're 5 episodes in now, I personally fucking love Boogiepop. And this is what we were talking about earlier with the anime style that I really like, is that, like, Boogiepop has kind of all the elements so far of an anime that I personally look for. And I mainly like it because it's, for those who don't know, Boogiepop, if the basic way I can describe it, is that it's about a supernatural kind of Shinigami character that is fighting off all of these different various creatures that are infecting this school area that they live in. And
sounds about right.
Like, Boogiepop knows to come in and take over in certain situations and kind of, like, get rid of all the bad creatures that are around their environment. And it's hard to explain to people because, like, if anybody of you guys have watched Durarara, like, this kind of reminds me of Durarara in a way of the way the format is set up, is that, like, you will first see the perspective of this character, and then they will move on to another character in the next episode that you saw them during that last episode, but didn't know what quite was going on.
Yeah, and eventually the pieces kind of fit together, and you can build a whole picture of what that day or what that time period was like based on all the perspectives that you've seen.
So this is why, like, Boogiepop is a very, like, interesting type of cape. Also remember, Boogiepop, from what I remember, from what I've seen recently, is that Boogiepop, the current Boogiepop, is actually a reboot of the original 2000s version. I really want to watch the original 2000s version, just because I heard that a lot of people believe that the original was a lot better. I don't know. From what I've seen so far of this anime, I really like the anime of it. I think Studio... Oh god, I couldn't tell you. I know the studio is familiar, but I can't think of what it is. Give me 1 second here. Oh, Madhouse. Yeah, Madhouse did the original series, and then now they're doing this series. Boogiepop will be 18 episodes, and which is a strange number for an anime, to be honest. But so far, like, think about it. We've been 5 episodes in right now. Well, there's still another 13 episodes to go. I'm waiting to see how it all unfolds, just because I know that it's going to be like Durarara, where I remember I was confused as shit for the first, like, 5 episodes of Durarara.
Which
because it was
I am very confused about Boogiepop.
Because it was trying to put everything together, and then I was confused by the way they were putting it together. And, like, I really like Boogiepop. I'll say this. From what everybody has told me in my Discord, Boogiepop is definitely an anime that you either like or don't like. And it's an anime that you need to stick through the long run to understand the entirety of the plot. It's not an anime that you can just sit down and watch for the fuck of it. It is definitely an anime that you need to be definitely, like, looking actively into what's going on with the characters around them, and seeing what's going on. But it was just super interesting to watch it for the first time and, like, watch the next episode and be like, oh shit, how does this connect to the last episode? And, like, kind of see where everything's going. And I especially just love the opening of it and everything. The
opening is, if not my favorite of the season, it's at least in my top 10 for the season. Yes, for sure.
That and The Promised Neverland is really good opening.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the 2 best openings of the season from what I've seen.
For sure. And Mob. I like Mob.
Oh, for sure.
Just because it's Mob.
It is Mob.
But definitely, if you're...
I join a mob for Mob. I'm very sorry about that.
You're good. If you're into, like, once again, I was talking earlier about, like, I really like the genre of horror. And, like, I really like the, like, in a way, it kind of reminds me of, like, not really, but, like, just the way it's drawn and the setting kind of reminds me of Parasite. But the overall arching plot of it kind of reminds me of Durarara. And I just really like the suspenseful horror, darkness type of like area, like plot, and what's the word I'm looking for? Like just scenery it's set it up to be, if that makes sense.
Like the setting of the show.
Yeah.
And
like just like the way the characters act and whatnot. Also, like I don't know, like there's.
So just like all the parts of the show.
I mean, not exactly, but yeah, kind of. But like so far, like out of everything, like I know that Scott, like Promised Neverland is probably your favorite this season.
Yeah, I think so, and a lot of that comes from, I think, actually, it's kind of hard to place why that is. I guess it's just that with Boogiepop, I kind of have a little bit of trouble keeping up with who's who. Yeah. Sometimes, the character designs are a little bit more...
They also kind of move kind of fast between who's
exactly.
who and what's going on. Yeah.
Like, there's not as much... First of all, there's a way larger cast, I guess.
Yeah, there is.
And so it's hard for me to keep track of who's who and what everybody's name is and what stories certain people are involved in. Like, I definitely feel like I need to go back and rewatch episodes to kind of grasp what's going on. Whereas with The Promised Neverland, it's a little more straightforward. Like, you have your three mains, and that's it.
I will say that in the end of Boogiepop, if I obviously do end up liking it as much as I say I do now, remember that I'm only 5 episodes deep out of 18.
How can you even form an opinion? I mean, that's... Sorry to interrupt. That's one thing that's really crucial about the show and how it'll turn out is, like you were saying, it's like Durarara, how you have to kind of put the puzzle pieces together. How those pieces come together and how tight that is, I think is going to make a big impact on how good the show as a whole is.
It's kind of weird to think about in comparing it to Durarara, too, because, like, the first season of Durarara, for those who haven't watched Durarara, it was just, like, I don't even know how I would explain to you the plot of Durarara. It was just, like, it was the lives of these individuals in the town of Ikebukuro doing whatever. And, like, there's obviously supernatural stuff and whatnot, but, like, I don't even know how it would... Once again, like, I just don't know how to give you the plot of Durarara.
Right,
it was
so
so
it's
confusing.
not really, like, an end goal.
Yeah, and, like, the thing about Durarara was that the first season was so well-rounded that, like, I remember watching it, and the second season, like, kind of took away from that. Because I remember there was a point in time, I think it was, like, during the third season. So there's Durarara, there's Durarara X2, or Ketsu, Show, and something else. The second season had 3 parts, and I remember the second part of the second season had a plot that was a little bit beyond me, like explaining. Remember when like spoiler alert, but there was a part where like Isaiah was like in that bag, like had the bag over his head, and was like trying to convince the people of like Heaven's Slave that he was like the ringleader of their drug operation originally.
I remember.
Yeah, and like that was where I was just like, okay, I did not know what was going on at all. And
I think I did end up
during that entire season I was a bit confused on what was going on. But in the long span of Durarara, it was a damn good show. But there were parts where I was like, I don't really know where this is going. And once again, I had to watch 4+ episodes to get the big picture.
Yeah.
Like, it was hard to get the big picture in Durarara, but it's just because there are so many characters in Durarara that it's just, like, so confusing to hear. Because you have to go through every one of their perspectives to understand what's going on. And, like, the first... If you didn't know, the first, like, 7 episodes of Durarara is explaining the first day of what's going on. Like, that was so confusing to me, was hearing about, like there are parts in the show where where you would see something happen in the background. Like, for example, there's a part where... So, essentially, the first episode is, like, this character introducing this character to Tokyo and the surrounding areas of Ikebukuro. And there's a part where he sees, like, a vending machine thrown. And he's like...
Just, like, into the air, above buildings.
Yeah.
Like...
And then one of the characters goes, oh, by the way, watch out for a person named Shizuo Heiwajima. And I remember thinking at the time, what the fuck was that? And then later on, I saw the perspective of Shizuo, and I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah, like, you watch him throw the vending machine.
Yeah, that's kind of cool to see. Was like, oh, everybody's perspective of what they were doing at this specific day, at this specific time.
But it's all just one day.
Yeah, like, that was the, like, cool part about it.
Shit's crazy.
Yeah. And like that's what I'm hoping about Boogiepop is like, I really liked Durara, but Durara fit together so well that
that's what I'm saying is that for Boogiepop they need to fit everything together tightly and make it all make sense and they need to make the viewer watch, or I'm sorry. Of course the viewer's going to watch. They need to make the viewer ask the right questions and give them just enough answers that they want to keep going, but not enough answers that when the show gives them the answers, it's satisfying to finally know like what's happening. Like
seeing this, like, so the episode that we just watched, the past 2 episodes, there was a part where they especially did a Durara thing where they were showing a character's perspective. Like at one point in time you see a character that you think is just like a regular side character that leaves that you won't see again.
Yeah.
And then the next episode they turned out to be a whole main character. And you realize that, oh, this person had an entirely different thing of their own. And, like, they did that a lot in Durara, where, like, I would meet a character that I was like, okay, I assumed that they were going to be a part of it. The thing that's different about this in Durara is that Durara had... So, they did the cool stylistic way of making everybody who wasn't a main character a gray background, like, stick figure. And anytime you would see a character that was part of the series, they were actually drawn. Mm-hmm. But everybody in the background was just gray. And that's what I really liked about it, was just because, like, anytime they were talking, like, it's also almost like, do you remember a Silent Voice with the deaf chick?
Yes.
So do you remember how everybody had just had an X over their face all the time?
Yes.
Yeah, like, that's kind of how it is, too. Like, everybody who wasn't a main character, even the main characters at some point had an X over their face. Mm-hmm. But, like, it was pretty much, like, establishing that, like, this person does not pertain to the story at all, or I do not like them. Mm. And
a classic spot the protagonist in the classroom, yeah.
And that's kind of how it was. And, like, it's weird to think about Durara just because, like...
Backseat next to the window.
Like, who would you define it... Like, who would you say is the protagonist of Durara?
Whoever sits in the backseat next to the window.
I wouldn't say that. Not at all. Okay, judging from this poster that is above my computer right now, who would you say is the main character?
I forget his name.
Mikado.
Mikado.
Yeah, Mikado.
That's what I said.
It's weird because Mikado in the show is like portrayed as the main character, but in the light novels, Celti is the main character.
Huh.
And like even in the anime, like they're doing it so much that like you don't really even know who the main character is because they switch from Mikado. Like there's a point in time in the series where you don't see Mikado for like 6 episodes. And they're just going into everybody around Mikado. So, like, who's even really a main character in Durara? I feel like most people in the show of Durara is a main character. There's a few here and there that are not.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at this poster and be
like Chikage Rokujo, the guy with the red.
Yes.
He's not a main character. But they definitely show him a lot in the end. It's weird to think, because in the end... These two are, like, Mikage, yeah, and Masaomi were main characters. Because Chikage, like, helps them out.
Yeah.
Oh god, I have the hiccups.
Oh no.
Boom! Don't scare me.
Oh,
I'm not scared of you. I'm only afraid of Boogiepop. Or the Imaginator.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll get one of them.
But in the end of all this, even with my hiccups,
anime is great, and we're more punctual than ever. There you go.
We will be back this time around. Oh shit, this is so bad. Hang on, everybody. So I am drunk. I do have the hiccups. It is hard to say what I want to say.
Okay,
but,
you tell me what to say and then I'll say it.
But how can I say that when I have hiccups?
How can I say that when I have hiccups?
Shut the fuck up. So anyway, what I want to say in the end is our normal outro of, yeah, we will be back. We do this every, typically mid-range of the month. We did this a little late this time, but we're going to try to go through. So we'll be back around mid-February. But we're just going to talk about, answer questions that you might have. You can send me questions at otakushotglass@gmail.com for a Gmail. The best place to probably reach me is my Tumblr at nijimasmakotos@gmail.com. I mean, at gmail.com. At tumblr.com. And I mean, we have a Twitter. You can send us stuff there. We don't really access our Twitter, but you should probably get on that.
I don't even remember the name of the Twitter.
It's just Otakushot.
Okay.
Yeah. You can answer stuff at our Twitter. I look at our Twitter just because I still use our Twitter. But go through there. If you have any other things, send me messages. We always like questions.
Please contact us. We're so lonely.
Not that. But I would like questions. If you have anything that you want us to particularly answer, please let us know. Remember to follow us, subscribe on YouTube, whatnot. It's been good to get back. I want to thank whoever did our intro music and our I'm actually gonna add outro music. So
outro music. We're fancy.
We're getting so official these days.
Fancy. This is a long outro.
Oh yeah.
Worst ending of the season. 0 out of 10.
But just know that the ones that we talked about this season that we're talking about, we are gonna keep up with and keep talking about every time. So stay tuned. So that's about it. Just want to say thank you for those who have stayed by us, even after we've been on hiatus for about 4 months now. So thank you all. But have a good night, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Goodbye.